And thank you for joining us on To The Point. I'm Laura Painter. Lawmakers gathered at the Capitol today to talk about ongoing gun violence in our country. At the same time, our community has been feeling the impacts of gun violence among our youth. The most recent, a shooting in Del Paso that hurt 2 children. Our Jeannie Wynn shares with us what a business owner on Del Paso Boulevard has to say about the increase of violence in her neighborhood.
The owners of the store that you see behind me here were actually just sitting right here when they heard gunshots ringing just a couple blocks up the road on Saturday night at that liquor store. Now they tell me that they're thankful they were not hurt, but that it hit too close to home. Katrina Adams has been the owner of Universal Clothing Boutique on Del Paso Boulevard for the past 3 years, and it's been a challenge.
We want to change the narrative that it's not safe to come here and shop and be a part of the boulevard.
But that's also been difficult. Last Wednesday, Adams says these 2 young men broke into her store.
Completely sabotaged of a lot of property and things like that inside of the store. And then after the fact, the suspects came back and then brandished a weapon at me.
Adams says there was something about them that made her nervous.
They were very young, but they weren't very scared, which is what scares me, and it kind of terrorizes the neighborhood.
Days later, and just a few steps from her store, a shooting at Sunland Liquor that hurt 2 adults and 2 kids.
We were outside, so you can clearly see it, actually the gunfire from down the street.
Adams can't help but think if the same people are responsible.
It's quite possible. These are young kids and they're having guns. You never know when things around here are connected.
All of this happening on the same week a 16-year-old was killed in Vacaville and a 13-year-old in Stockton, all at what police say were at the hands of other teens.
We are seeing levels of gun violence like never before.
Lawmakers today addressed the concerns as they say gun violence continues to be one of the leading causes of death amongst young people.
Our children are getting taken away from us. I get today talk about, certainly yet again, that gun violence is a public health crisis.
With a promise to try and turn that narrative around to give the youth an opportunity to live a safe life.
We want to make sure that every child in this state, but also in the United States of America, grow up to have everything they want to have in life and rise to their fullest potential.
At this time, Sacramento police say this shooting is still under investigation and that they have no additional information at this time.
That was our Jeannie Wynn reporting. We want to hear your thoughts on this issue. How can we better protect children from gun violence? Just scan the QR code on the side of your screen and finish the sentence that pops up or send a text to 916-321-3310. You just might see your answer here on To The Point. Now, as our lawmakers gathered today, 3 people were killed and 2 officers were hurt in a shooting in Farmington, New Mexico. The suspected shooter is an 18-year-old. He was also killed at the scene. Right now, there are very few details, but what is known is that the man started shooting at people in a neighborhood. The man killed 3 people and hurt 9 others, including 2 police officers that showed up to help. The crime scene covers several blocks in the residential area. The search continues for a man who jumped into the North Fork American River and was swept away. It happened near Yankee Jim's Bridge. It marks the 2nd rescue this year. Officials are warning the river is more dangerous than it may look.
Once you're in the water and we get a rescue call, the chances of us rescuing you is extremely low because you could be going down at 10, 15 miles an hour. You could get stuck and pinned and sucked in somewhere, and it's going to take us a while to find you.
The water is also very cold at about 45 degrees, which can cause hypothermia in a matter of minutes. Officials say the safest way to enjoy the water right now is if you're seeking professional river rafting services. We have an update on the migrant situation at the southern border. Federal officials say it has turned out differently than anticipated now that the Title 42 immigration policy has come to an end. Federal officials say there has been a significant drop of migrant border crossings since the policy ended Thursday. They point to new and tougher asylum policies. Under the Biden administration's new restrictions, migrants must first be denied protection in another country or apply through an online app in order to make a successful asylum claim here in the U.S. But migrants say appointments have been hard to come by and many don't have access to good cell service. Breaking those rules can lead to deportation and a 5-year ban on entering the U.S. Action is being taken to put an end to illegal sideshows as more happen across our area. Just this weekend, police shut down sideshows on Broadway in Sacramento and in Stockton, outside the Stockton Arena. Stockton police say one officer even had minor injuries after trying to break up another sideshow Saturday night. We talked with neighbors in the Delta Shores area of Sacramento who say these displays of recklessness are getting out of hand there too.
This has been a major issue around this place because they just come out any time of the night, any time of the day and start spinning.
Sacramento City Council recently added Delta Shores to a city ordinance that allows law enforcement to break up these sideshows on private property. The shopping center will join a list of parking lots where vehicle code violations can be enforced. Tonight in Lodi, police are investigating another hit and run. The victim survived but is in a coma, and as of now, no one knows his identity. Kurt Rivera tells us how you can help identify him.
He is at the moment a mystery man. He's been in a coma for more than 2 weeks now and hasn't awakened.
Lodi police say it happened back on April 30th. It was a Sunday night around 10 o'clock here at the intersection of Central and Kettleman.
Police say the man was walking with some belongings when suddenly he was struck by a suspect vehicle, believed to be this 2018 to 2023 Toyota Camry or Corolla. Police say it likely has front or driver's side damage. It is also missing a driver's side mirror cap. Gary Cobb works close to where the accident happened.
That's a crying shame. I mean, somebody gets hit like that and nobody's come forward to, to claim who he is. I mean, it's a kind of shows you how society's going in a hole.
It's very sad, and it's sad that nobody has come forward to claim him family-wise.
Alicia Gonzalez owns the nearby Grinding Grounds coffee shop. She says the intersection has been the scene of many accidents.
I haven't witnessed any, but actually a few of my customers have. And a few of them had a dash cam on, like, someone running red lights and stuff like that. But it's a busy intersection.
A Lodi police sergeant we spoke to said in his 16 years in law enforcement, he has never had someone go unidentified for this length of time. And he adds the family needs to be reached as soon as possible because the man's condition is worsening.
Lodi police say they've been unable to get fingerprints from the man because his hands are so calloused. They are reaching out to the Department of Justice to try another method to identify him. If you have any idea who the man is, call Lodi Police at 209-333-6727. Coming up, California used to be home to many thriving Japan towns. Sacramento used to be one of them, but the community was segregated and only a few businesses remain today.
I grew up right in Japantown, which is on 4th Street, and it was so safe. I used to run around all over. We used to play hide and seek till 9, 10 o'clock.
We're looking at the movement to revitalize Japantown in Sacramento and bring back the community's culture.
We started off with a little bit cooler weather for the work week, but now the heat returns, tracking how close we'll be to 100s.
Firefighters were out for their annual wildfire refresher training at Discovery Park today. They say now is the time for everyone to prepare for wildfire season. This is a good time to trim those bushes and other tall grass close to your home. And Monica, we're really talking about that defensible space around your home, right? You want to consider not having the oily plants around too, like eucalyptus or junipers, right? Because they catch on fire quite easily.
Yeah, and with the warm weather as well, things are going to be drying out quickly. As far as tonight, with that sunset just after 8 o'clock, beautiful evening. If you're trying to avoid the heat, this is the time to be outside. 84 degrees at 7 p.m., dropping into the 70s by 8 p.m. Overnight lows eventually get us into the 50s. Highs for today stayed in the 80s, still about 5 to almost 10 degrees above average for the valley, 80s for the foothills, and close to 70 up top for the Sierra. As far as our temperature trend, we've been watching temperatures bounce up and down a bit, but all in all, bottom line is it's above average. 80 is where we should top out this time of year. We've been in the upper 80s to right around the mid 90s. Saturday, our hot day, Saturday, hottest of the year, 95 degrees. So a lot of folks did head out to the waterways. Again, you want to make sure you have that life jacket on hand with temperatures this cold. One slip into the water, not only are they swift, but you could lose some muscle control just because how cold that water is. Even the best swimmers have trouble with this. So a life jacket for sure. Keep a close eye on children, avoiding alcohol. That cold water can result in hypothermia very quickly, and fast flows mean tough rescues. There's not going to be a whole lot of change in our weather pattern here. Under that ridge of high pressure building heat for the middle of the week, we'll get a little bit of relief over the weekend, but it's still going to be some summer heat in the outlook for the next actually 10 days almost. We get nearly into that Memorial holiday weekend with highs in the 90s through early next week, and then we're dropping back into the 80s.
All right, the heat is on, Monica. Thank you. Well, once upon a time, California was the land of many thriving Japan towns, including here in Sacramento. After the break, the movement to revitalize a once flourishing community. Before World War II, California was home to more than 30 thriving Japan towns, but they started to disappear and get gentrified after Japanese Americans were placed in internment camps. Today, only 3 Japan towns remain in California. Now there's an effort to revitalize the bustling Japan town that was once in the capital city. Our Devin Truby has the story.
This is what Sacramento's Japantown looked like in 1940. It was a vibrant community located along 3rd, 5th, L, and O Streets. It was Amiko Amy Kamikawa's Wong playground.
I grew up right in Japantown, which is on 4th Street. It was so safe. I used to run around all over. We used to play hide and seek till 9, 10 o'clock.
But Japantown became a ghost town. Amiko remembers the exact moment the first tragedy struck.
My brother was just about to buy a house. He went to see the house on Saturday, and he was going to sign the paper on Monday, and the war started on Sunday. So, of course, we didn't buy a house.
Sunday, December 7th. Attack on Pearl Harbor, a surprise airstrike by the Japanese Navy against the United States Naval Base in Hawaii. The attack had a huge impact, especially for Japanese Americans in the United States. Just 2 months later, Japantown in Sacramento was cleared and residents were forced to go into internment camps. Kiyo Sato remembers this like it happened yesterday.
25217C was my number. I'll never forget it. It's not on here, but it's tattooed in my brain.
Taken to the internment camp in Poston, Arizona.
I just broke down and cried when that train started to move. And I said, nobody's come to save us, nobody cares.
What Kiyo remembers most is the heat, over 100 degrees, and passing out.
I thought I had died because everybody was laid out on this cot. And I still wonder how many of us didn't wake up.
And no privacy when using the restroom, no stalls, no separation by gender. They wore paper bags over their heads for a sense of privacy. At 100 years old,
I still have PTSD from this, toilet thing.
How had Japantown changed when you got back?
Well, there was no Japantown. In those days, the first generation couldn't buy home property, so their sons or somebody bought property.
after the war, Japantown in Sacramento was able to return, and the Buddhist church that sectioned off its gym played a big role by giving families a place to stay.
And what made Japantown thrive is the fact that families lived there. Our businesses were there. It was a day and night place.
But then, for the second time, Japantown would be forced out of its own community, unable to own property and make repairs upon returning due to government-sponsored mortgage redlining policies that prohibited loans in racially integrated neighborhoods. Miriam remembers the issues her family faced when they had to move because of the redevelopment.
And we were not allowed in this area.
But all the city saw was a high concentration of people of color who they considered too risky to invest in. The area was labeled a slum, blighted, which allowed the city to cut revenue to the area. It was bulldozed for the capital redevelopment project. A wrecking ball shattered many cultures, including Japantown, for the Capitol Mall and the area we know today as Doko, and a freeway.
You didn't have the gathering places to go to.
Amiko says it was a loss of independence for her mother because she couldn't go to an English-speaking store by herself.
Well, it was kind of sad because the older folks naturally, they didn't speak English. So naturally, Japantown was perfect. You know, we had grocery stores, we had banks.
I'm here on 10th Street in the heart of relocated Japantown. Hundreds of businesses down to a handful, like Osaka-ya, trying to keep history alive. Historical remnants remain like the Wakanora sign, even though the restaurant is no longer here.
Linda Nakatani and her family have been carrying on the Osaka-ya name since 1963. Originally on the corner of 10th, where you can still see their faded sign, they bought the historic Senator Fish Market.
And Senator Fish retired that year, so my dad said, is it okay if we buy your Senator Fish? And that's how we ended up coming here in 1997.
Keeping a Japantown storefront alive and well for over 60 years, passing on the tradition to her sons and even me for the day.
Yeah, that one's really good. I'm pretty sure 95% that they will take over. It is a lot of work.
Besides the businesses on 10th and W, one of the only remaining buildings from Japantown is the Nisei Barber Shop and Veterans of Foreign Affairs Hall, which makes it the perfect home for the rebuilt Japantown Sacramento group to meet.
All of Japantown was gone, except for the Veterans Hall that we're standing in today.
Kobe and Jamie Katanyagi started the movement to revitalize Sacramento's Japantown. It all started with Jamie researching their family history, then realizing they have nothing to show their children. Kobe's great-grandfather immigrated from Japan and owned a print shop in the heart of Japantown.
Because my generation, we weren't really even taught anything about it. You know, it's not something that they really talked about.
The group consists of prominent Japanese Americans in the community, like Sharon Ito, former ABC 10 anchor, and this is one of their monthly strategy meetings. The dream to reclaim the heart of Japantown, the 301 capital, which is currently just a plot of grass. While the group wants to reincarnate Japantown on that land with restaurants and shops, they're also being realistic that it could be purchased and developed.
We're looking at either, a memorial for Japantown, all the way to maybe partnering with the city or with a developer to, bring in a cultural center, museum.
80 years later, we asked the Katanyagis, why push to revitalize now?
I think it's important now for many reasons. The history is almost gone. The survivors and the storytellers are almost gone. And I'm afraid that this history will be lost.
That was our Devin Truby reporting. If you want to help the cause, the Rebuild Sacramento Japantown group has a Facebook page. They say everyone is welcome to join and help them rebuild the vibrant community. Head over to abc10.com for the details. Still ahead on To The Point, feeling lonely? There may be an app for that. 2 teens in our area created a tool to help keep older adults company. Coming up tomorrow on To The Point, 2 high school students from Folsom are using artificial intelligence to help older adults feeling lonely find a friend. That friend is named Jerry, a mobile app for your phone that can have a conversation with its users. The app runs off the popular AI platform ChatGPT. It's a program that gives developers access to artificial intelligence software. Right now, the 2 inventors, Rishi and Rowan, are working to get the app into care facilities.
We want to see this scaled up a lot, right? So we want to see people with Alzheimer's using this system. We want to see people who are struggling with these social communication because they're isolated. We want to see them really taking advantage of this system.
Rishi and Rowan are almost finished with the beta testing of the app. Tomorrow on To The Point, we'll show you how the app works and the next challenges they face. We always want to hear what's going on in your community. Shoot the team an email at tothepoint@abc10.com or text us at 916-321-3310. Have a good night.
Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.